So this field around you, this unseen force around you, is what is the this is the connectivity, the conductor in which your own biofrequency field is communicating, transmitting, broadcasting, and receiving messages from our external experiences we call our reality. Now, the aura has been known by many names in many cultures. The Kabbalists call it an astral light. Christians, artists depicted this with the pictures of Jesus surrounded by coronas of light. Notice the word corona. So when you hear coronavirus, this is an attempt to infect our auric fields with a virus. It's not so much so about the body. Again, the goal is to be able to watch the migration of souls and hopefully control the migrations of souls. Now, the biomagnetic human energy field is composed of information that comes from each organ and every bodily tissue. The heart's currents determines its shape, as the heart is the body's strongest electrical producer. This is the reason that having electromagnetic radiation frequencies being constantly broadcast in our world is affecting the heart's ability to transmit and conduct and receive love. And this is like something that affects everybody at some point. The more aware you become, you notice when you are not in your heart and you're not processing your reality through your heart, right? And this is when the ego has to step in, which is really your inner child trying to protect the version of you that was wounded. Because the child part of us is sometimes, until you become more aware, it's where the courage is. Children are very courageous. So with that being said, with the heart creating this enormous amount of electrical energy, the primary electrical flow is established by the circulatory system, as well as the nervous system interacts with the circulatory system, and this corrects distinct flows. And this is like creates a whirl of energy or vortexes, and this gets into the chakras within our field. Okay. So in scientific research, Barbara Ann Brennan said that the plasma, okay, which are these tiny subatomic particles that move in clouds, scientists propose that plasmas exist in a state between energy and matter. Brennan says that this bioplasma is a fifth state of matter. Now, a brilliant philosopher that I like to listen to and read his books, Rudolf Steiner, he also said that the human energy field is made of ether, and that's the fifth element, right? An element comparable to a negative mass or a hollowed out space. We only can surmise, but perhaps the field is actually made of both electromagnetic radiation, specifically magnetism, and antimatter that allows a shift of energy between this world and others. So in order for us to be able to die and actually leave this physical vessel, there has to be another element that is allowing energy and matter to be transported, to be migrated to a different realm of existence. Thus, the propensity of healers to deliver healing energy based on intention is a matter of creating enough intensity in the here and now, and combining that energy and that intention draws in this antimatter, and it creates form. It's able to take on form. This is also how we create thought forms by the things that we think about and think about often. And this ultimately will form into something in our external world that was created in our mind. And everything we're using right now came from the mind, which would be darkness, into the light, which is matter. So what we accomplish within our own field can be delivered like an instant message on the internet to another person's energy field. So Wi-Fi connectivity is just an artificial version of what we already have. Now, Barbara Brennan also proposed that there are 7 basic layers of the auric field, and these graduate from the body, linked with each of the 7 basic chakras, which are these energy wheels of different subtle energy, which combine to compose 3 basic planes. And these planes are accessible through the auric fields. So within each chakra, the root holds 1 to 7 years old. And so as you were learning what it is to be a human incarnated in a physical body on this planet, you were developing your roots. So this is why when you do shadow work, it requires you to go back to your childhood and identify and isolate areas where you had unmet needs, and maybe you built your who you think you are, your sense of self, based on those unmet needs. All of this is recorded by the root chakra. So if you would imagine the chakras as a tape, like tape players, cassette tapes, and you can actually record information on a cassette tape that may already have information on it. And so that's what our chakras are like. And so they're holding that information kind of like a computer disk. Now, highly negative situations that we go through, different types of traumas, affect the way our chakras are spinning, the information that's contained with them. So as you can see, you have the ancestral information, you have information from this incarnation, from your experiences, and you have past life information as well. And all of this information is circulating around us. So when we have very negative experiences, traumatic experiences, childhood adverse experiences, parents who worked a lot or weren't home, parents who maybe had mental, emotional health issues, or parents who struggle with alcoholism, or parents who struggle with substance abuse, any of these things, what happens is it shifts our assemblage point, the way that we're anchored into this reality. And if you imagine all of these different parts of you that I went through and named, they're going to take on a different form. They're going to take on a different mold based on their experience. So childhood trauma and drama of any kind can actually prevent the assemblage point from even settling into a healthy position. And when we know that we need to ground, we're creating an assemblage point, right? We're grounding ourselves, bringing our mind to the present moment to help us to be more in our body, more mindful and aware, and not below the veil of consciousness. Hell exists below the veil of consciousness. Most every terrible thing that happens on this planet happens as a result of someone being below the veil of consciousness, meaning they're in the lower mind. They're only in the lower chakras. The root chakra is all about survival. And we can see that happening now with crime and everything else that's happening. So, and I'm not going to get into all of the chakras because I want to make sure that I'm connecting the different subtle bodies that we have with this information. So when you have these specific points that embed and imprint itself onto your own etheric field, this is going to attract certain people, places, and things into your lives. This is a law of attraction. And right now, what we're saying a lot is that our relationships have become shadow work. And the generations before us thought that relationships were just difficult because that's just relationships, what happens. They really didn't have a reason for it. We are given access to so much information now, so we know that there is a reason for everything that happens, and we're on this journey of self-discovery to see what's the reason I attract these things and why do these things happen. So even if what you see in someone that you're in a relationship with outside of you, and even with different parts of yourself, even if you can't see it in yourself, there's something in you that allows a bridge to be created for you to have that experience in reality, in this simulated reality. And it's meant to be a teacher. A lot of times, a lot of us, especially those of us who are empaths and highly sensitive, we're so sensitive to energy to the point that we sometimes try to avoid certain situations and conversations, and even avoid our own thoughts, avoid our own feelings and emotions, because it's tender, it's sensitive, and it's almost as if there is this subconscious firewall that comes up where it's like you can't sit in this negative experience and learn from it. You need to hurry up and bypass it or distract or get out of it. Well, there is a time and place for everything. You can't always sit with your feelings every time something comes up. But there is a lot of power in learning how to be present with certain emotions, because this allows your emotional field to conduct this higher information. So y'all excuse me. So what happens is the electromagnetic radiation that we're swimming in is kind of making it more difficult for us to be with these emotions, because maybe it's coming up more often than it used to. Maybe it seems like you're more easily triggered. You're noticing with other people. I mean, just look at crime and everything. And it's because this energy is combating the kundalini activations that we're getting. So everything that's happening inside of us is bringing us to this point of being able to embody our divine self. And that does mean making adjustments to your lifestyle, what you do, where you go, who you spend time with, what you allow to enter into your conscious mind, your eye gates, your nose, your ears, everything, right? So these kundalini activations are happening, and you'll notice your sleep being disturbed. Your circadian rhythm changes. You'll also sometimes notice just feeling frustrated and not really knowing